We're live.
Knock, knock. I'm knocking on your door. Do you know who I am? Maybe not. Maybe yes. Maybe I can help you a little bit. You don't know who I am? Still don't know? No worries. I can show you who I am. So now you must be sure that I am who I say who I am. Is that right? And if you still don't trust me, I even have a document that says that I am who I am. And if you followed this through what I'm talking about, then you already know what this episode is about. It's all about authentication today. And after our news, we will have a little bit discussion on all these interesting things around Meteor authentication and accounts and saying who I am, maybe. And if you still don't trust me that I am who I am, then I'm not only knocking on your door, but I have the piece to get inside, and that is the key. So now you should have to let me in, right? And with this, I'm giving to the others.
This is episode 29, and you're watching or listening to This Week in MeteorJS, a weekly news segment of the Meteor Dispatches podcast aimed at both new and veteran Meteor users. This program is brought to you by the MeteorJS community ambassadors who share information, events, activities, and other newsworthy items. I'm your host, Alim Gafar. I'm streaming to you from a different place today, not New York City, but I'll tell you later. So, what about you guys? Where are you coming from?
Hey, I'm Jan, aka Jan Dvorak, aka Storyteller, still from Prague for the last time for the coming weeks.
And I'm Jan Küster. You can trust me on that. And I'm streaming from Germany.
Trust is a big thing today, isn't it?
And I think before we go into this whole authentication topic, we want to go into the news, right?
We have some items, and I think first up is you, Küster. You've got something with regard to Apple's activities lately.
So all of you who followed our recent episodes on that topic already know that we little rant style covered that topic, and we're not very happy about that. But then finally it has been done. And it has not been done actually. So Apple won't remove the home screen, the PWAs, and that's actually what is maybe crucial for some of us who delivered their experience through the PWA. We have this article also, the discussion linked in the forums, which you should join because it's still everything with a little caveat. So it's not all 100% what you think it is, and there are still some traps like the reviews on third-party stores and all that stuff. So the best is you get into the forums and check out and join the discussion also, especially if you are working with PWAs, relying on PWAs, and also rely on customer base with iOS. So, but still, the good news is it's off the table for now.
Is it completely? I mean, have they removed all of their objections, or is it a clean reversal as far as you know?
No, they're whining that we have noticed and made us think about it. That's pretty much what it is. But I think right now they have just reversed it because they don't want us to keep on whining. But it wouldn't surprise me if they slowly started going in that direction in the future updates. That's just how these companies are in general.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually, I don't know if was the 100% influence on that, but there was actually this letter from the Open Web Advocacy, which is also linked in the forums article. And there were quite a few important organizations that already joined that. And I think the whole idea was to show that it's not only a few people that have a problem with all that, but it's actually quite a bigger community, and that it's starting to become this so-called enshittification, as you might already know this term. And so it helped a little, but again, we have to keep on working on that topic to keep the free internet free, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I just think it's beyond. So my question on this was, do you think they were pushing for this because they preferred that you deliver the experience through their own native applications?
Yes, it's all about the Doge, all about the money. Because if you go through their native application, means you have if you have any money related stuff, you have to pay them.
Oh yes,
their fee, which is like what 30-40%. They've also now started doing that if you have like over 1 million downloads or something, then you have also to pay fee for each additional download. So they are trying to squeeze the money where it is, which is very, very strange behavior from a company that is, so rich as Apple, trying to squeeze everything. Usually, this is behavior from companies that are about to fail, trying to quickly find some money so they don't find. So either we don't know something about Apple, or it's just a totally scummy company that.
Ouch.
Yeah. It could also be that they just wanted to see how far they can go, and just to see, okay, let's announce that, let's try that out, see what's the reaction. I mean, the topic was not too big for them to be that important from an impact compared to other topics they have, right? And compared to, I don't know, some big decision on their hardware or whatever they deliver, and I think that's also part of this enshittification term, which is actually a coined term from this author. In 2022, we may cover an episode on that in the future, that actually is talking about that services and companies, especially the big ones, the ones with near monopoly status on some areas, try to provide you a great service, a great experience to a great price, and then gradually make it worse and worse and worse for you, hoping that people are just want to stay in their comfort zone and still consume the service to worse terms. So maybe that was a try from them in that area to see how far they can go.
That's interesting. It's so in a sense, you're thinking that perhaps what they're doing is they're just testing boundaries at this point to see just how much they can push the developers before the developers revolt.
Could be. I mean, it worked when they banned Flash initially on the iPhone. They just basically killed Flash overnight.
That they did, Wow. Well, we have a little bit of happier news, which is one of our ambassadors, a gentleman that we goes by the handle Dr. Dimitri, right? Who is, again, he was former ambassador. Well, not really a former, because once he has that title, because he was a founding ambassador, he stays that way. And he works continually with Meteor, and his team works continually with it. And a few years back, he had put out a project called Meteor Files. And the Meteor Files project, you can go to Packosphere. He maintains it. It is a well-documented, it's a superb example of what you should do when you build a package and how completely it is supported and documented. And it's a fantastic thing. On top of that, not only did he build this tool and made it available for anybody that wants to use it for free in their own projects, and it's for how you can upload and I think even stream different types of files. But he also put out a little demo that is really, really succinct and beautiful. It's at files.valiof.com. And it's a sweet little project. It's a simple page. You hit the button and you can upload files. And I don't know how long they persist there. But he's taken this idea and now made it into a product. And there was a post this past week where he announces this. Meteor Files as a SaaS product, where you can upload any size file whatsoever and so on. And it's got some very generous tiers. There's a free tier, I believe, and then there are some low-end tiers and then some really high-end tiers where you can upload files as, I think the description is, any size, unlimited size. I don't know any unlimited size file, but if you have one that is, this might be for you. So Dimitri has now turned this into a little bit of a business and an opportunity for you guys to go check it out and also see how powerful that underlying technology, which is built on Meteor, actually is and what you could probably do for yourself. So I think both as a terrific example of a project, a commercial project that is built on Meteor, and the fact that it is also a useful project from the point of view of something that you can use. And I know that filmmakers, for instance, who have to post, and we are, I don't know if we can call ourselves filmmakers, but whenever we're doing our recordings and we need to upload them, I think one of the things that we're always trying to figure out is where can we upload these super big, gigabyte files relatively easily and cheaply so that we can share them with each other and get the edits done. So I think this is a really neat tool. You should check it out. And, give Dr. Dimitri some support. Dmitry Golev, that's his real name, is a really great guy. And he built some really awesome products. And I think this is one of them.
And he's in the chat today.
He's what?
He's in the chat today as well.
He's in the chat today. Okay, hey. What is? Oh, he's chatting with us also about the PWAs. Okay, that is really cool.
All right.
Yep. They can make a call. So,
thank you very much for that. Really love to see businesses being started from this, and of course, the design is also pretty amazing. So once again, give it some love so that he can keep developing this further and make it even more awesome than it already is.
I just want to do a quick shout out to Dimitri on this and say, listen, we'd love to have you on the program, not only just to talk about like what you're doing, but talk about Meteor Files and how you've taken this to the level of building a product and what was the process like in terms of the developer experience working with Meteor. So I think that would be a really cool conversation to have so that people could, get a good sense of just how productive they can be and how effective the tool is. Just a thought. So Dimitri, if you're interested, we'd love to have you.
All right, off to our next news, kind of going forward into the future. Vazco has done some experimentation and created a MeteorGPT or Meteor AI. So what they did, they fed the dogs, the guide, the forums, and some other things to create a custom ChatGPT, or as they call MeteorGPT language model that should hopefully be able to answer all your questions in regards to Meteor based on the forums and based on the documentation and some other sources. And we have been also discussing maybe if we could put it in so that it can give some initial or answer some initial questions that people might have on the forums. So stay tuned. The only downside is that in order to get it and use it, you need to have ChatGPT Plus because it's a custom model. So that's the only downside of it. So if this is something that interests you, you can keep it up with everyone about what is, how we are kind of looking into what we can maybe do with it. So I would really love to see it in the forums, and maybe if we can maybe integrate it into GitHub, if there are like some questions so that it can answer as well. And I just noticed today is my anniversary of joining the community. Interesting.
Hey.
Yay! We need sound effects.
Yes. Anyhow, going off onto my next, unless you guys want to add something to this. Nope, the robots are going to take over.
So is the idea that you could query this GPT for information about Meteor itself?
Yes, you should be able to query it about the Meteor, and in theory also about some limited technical questions. So I would say the biggest thing is, if I don't remember where in a docs something is mentioned or something specific, then I would just type it in here and get the information from ChatGPT on it.
Okay.
So in contrast, that also means that the more sophisticated we keep the docs updated, the better this assistant would work in the end, if it's constantly evolved on the docs, right?
That's correct.
Cool.
The other question I have is there ability to do some level of code generation from the information from the docs, or that's probably outside the scope?
Well, in theory, yes, because ChatGPT can generate some code already. So it should be possible. But I wouldn't put my hand into the fire for its accuracy.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a little distracted because I'm in a hotel room and my cat is here. And if you hear some like bells or that kind of thing, it's from her collar. So it's not me trying to be like a belly dancer or anything like that. It's there's an animal
It's
here,
the
and it's a cat. Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of the new, we also have some old, and a little bit back. Was it last week? I think yes. I created a topic called packages you might no longer need in Meteor 3, which I would like to everybody to come in and share some of your thoughts of some of the old packages that could be either replaced, or maybe you might audit them and revise their usage. That might no longer be necessary in Meteor 3 because either the official API has caught up, so you no longer need it, or you might have a better, more modern solution. So I have kind of put in some of my suggestions. Big disclaimer here: this doesn't mean that you might, get completely rid of them. You need to always do your audit and see, because, for example, Picker in Meteor 3, you have the web app fully supporting, Express, or we have Express. So Picker main function was to add the function that Express has built in, so we no longer need Picker. But then things get, or the last one here, all these schema index. You can just create indexes through the official API without any problem, and probably, especially once you get into more advanced index creation stuff, that's not what you want to do. So that's definitely a package you want to probably reduce as in your dependencies. But then the other one, the publish composite and publish performance count and similar, are more of where you need to really audit your usage to use it. I mostly put these two because they have both the big disclaimer that you should really be careful about using them, especially in large production application. And for the published performance counts and similar, we now have, let's say, official API from MongoDB to do countings on the collection. The thing here is, of course, it's not reactive as the published performance counts is. So that is something to be aware of when doing that. And I've added here, if I quickly scroll here, yes, another package that you should probably look into is underscore. First of all, because you might no longer need it, because a lot of the API was integrated into the official JavaScript API. And if you are following the Meteor repository, you'll see that I'm trying to update it because underscore and Lodash historically had a lot of security issue just because of how much extra stuff they are doing. So I'm trying to update, at least internally, underscore for people who still need it. But I personally recommend, to use the official ECMAScript API, or a lot of times you can just do without it. So please, let me know if there are any other suggestions, and in a little bit, I would like to turn this into an article with everybody's suggestions so that we can have it more. These are mostly from my use cases.
And I would also add to this that you should also let us know if you heavily rely on one of these packages or more of them. So just in order to see, or for us to get an impression of what packages are still to some degree with a priority to being maintained, or to which degree they need to be maintained, and if there are people that still rely on them, because this gives us a better impression of the overall ecosystem all the time.
All right, and with that, if you are finding this to be useful and you've been here before, you know what to do. Like the channel, hit the thumbs up or whatever that little button is that lets us know that you are finding this useful as a resource of information. And again, I'm having a problem talking. I don't know why. Probably because my family is in the room at the same time with me, and it's a little distracting. And I'm hoping that that changes in a couple of minutes. But if you are able to, please, even if you're here for the first time and you're liking what you're seeing so far and you'd like us to do more of this, hit the like button. It lets us know that it is appreciated, and it also helps the YouTube algorithm know that it should recommend it to others that are interested in the topic. And with that, I think we're going to head on into today's main feature topic, which is authentication. So one of the things we need to kind of understand is, what are we talking about when we're talking about authentication, and why is authentication important? Is this something that is a necessary evil in a way, or is this really a requirement to make sure that your data is protected, and how does that work? So with that, I'm going to pass this back on to Storyteller so that he can lay the foundation for us.
So first of all, there's a lot of terms usually flying around this. First, you need to determine what is authentication versus authorization. So authentication is things like, or pretty much it's the login. It's figuring out, okay, you are the user, you are saying you are. Authorization, that's mostly handled by the roles package in Meteor ecosystem. And that is to determine, do you have the right to do what you want to do, or do you have the right to access where you want to go? So, and for authentication, as mentioned, there's a lot of types of authentication. We have the general, the password, we have the OAuth 2 framework, and we have some new ones that are coming out, like hardware keys. The big thing here is also to kind of do the two-factor authentication. So that's kind of to, once again, check that you are who you are. That's usually where the hardware keys are, or OPT, where you kind of put in your PIN number or something similar. There's also passwordless, where they send it to your email. So those are these, say, two big things to keep in mind when talking about authentication, authorization, because it's very easy to mix these two up just because of how similar they are sounding. So that's the primer. And of course, if you're doing authorization, which means checking if somebody can do something, you first need to know who they are. So authentication, then authorization. So that's what we are talking here about. And of course, in Meteor, we have the amazing roles pack. Oh, sorry, not just roles pack, but users and accounts package, which has all the different options available. And you can once you add it, you have a fully fledged account system with all the say the basic things. So we have logging with password, logging with all out on different things. You have two-factor authentication, you have passwordless, and there's much more that's being added. In that, you have also the full management, from onboarding users, creating users, and password resets, everything, all the basic things that you can think of. Anything else I'm missing here, guys?
No. So if I'm hearing this right, authentication is the idea of proving that you are who you claim to be.
Yes.
And authorization is what do you have the right to do, right? So that's the main distinction there. And in Meteor, what we're saying is that there are a number of different providers. There's a core accounts package, right? The accounts-based package that is there to allow you to prove who you are. And on top of that, there are a bunch of extensions to that from Twitter, Google, Facebook, GitHub, Meetup, that also allows you to use their service to prove who you are through their service. And that's available out of the box. You don't have to build anything. You just have to plug it in. And normally, if you were building an application, say an Express or so on, you probably would have to build all of these things from scratch. And they're not trivial things to do securely. Is that what I should understand?
Yes, that's correct. If I'm correct, there is out.js, which would be the Node open source version, but that one you really also have to do a lot of
configuration,
additional configuration that is, I would say, much more easier in Meteor just because of the tight integration. Also, funny thing, Auto.js has been heavily inspired or pretty much also started from the Meteor account system. So that's like another thing, just how successful it is.
So passwordless is like the magic link stuff that we get. Is that how that works?
Yes, those are the magic links that you can send out to your email.
Okay, so I go in, I put my email address in, it sends a link to me. I click on the link, and then that says I prove who I am. Okay, because it came to an email I control. That's the idea behind that.
That's the idea. I dislike that a little bit, primarily out of convenience for me, because usually when I'm at a service, because we have this with StreamYard, it's also that's completely passwordless. There's actually not even an option to check out or have like a password, which for me is annoying because to switch to my email, and actually in that case, what I'm getting is not even a link. I'm just getting a code to copy. So it's like two-factor authentication to get in, which is not how it should be, but it's like one form of passwordless. And I just don't like that because it's not my personal preference. It also makes me kind of distract me from the flow because I have pretty good flow with my passwords. So I'm kind of annoyed that I don't have the choice to set up a password so I can just move more quickly, because then I have to wait for the email to arrive and all that stuff. So
but that's generally how it works. It's you put your email in, it sends you a link. If it comes to an email you can control, you click the link, and then and then it says, "Oh, okay, I know that you are you."
Yes,
that's effectively what it is. And then two-factor authentication, I think I've heard described as it's something you know and something you have, right? So it's like, okay, the thing that you know is like your password, and then the thing that you have is something that either generates a code or something else that then allows you to put that information in to then prove not only do you have this password and you claim to be who you are, but you also have some access to some physical device
Yes.
or some that
For
allows
me,
you
like
to.
another thing why I don't like passwordless is that I use passkey and other managers. So I can see all the list of where I sign up and everything. And if I have like a passwordless, then it's like, okay, which email have I used to sign up here? And if I use the wrong one, it will create a new account and it's a hassle. So so that's like another thing why I am not that big fan of passwordless, but I know that some people adore it, especially if they have not that many emails.
Now, I was mentioning to you guys that I don't really understand the passkey stuff. I told you that even today I got an email, not an email, when I was logging in to one of my accounts, Google flashed me and said, it'll be better if you set this up as passkey. And I do you have a better understanding of what that is? Because to me it's a little confusing.
So
but passkey is a new thing, right?
Yes, passkey is a new thing. We don't have them in Meteor yet. You could say it is a continuation of using, let me pull that in here, of these guys. So that's a hardware key, which, so we have plans to eventually build that in Meteor as well, just because it's a system that the big guys are pushing. But here you see kind of nice passkey. It's supposed to sync in, like things with Face ID. I do believe the hardware keys are part of it as well, but then you have, fingerprints, as we said, face. Hopefully, also here some just a pin as well.
Using biometric data.
Yes, so that's where I am not fond of it, of using biometrics data before the show, as we discussed. In many countries there are protections that, unless, for example, the law enforcement have a warrant, they cannot force you to give up your passwords and so on. While the same doesn't apply, if they just take a phone and put it before your face and it unlocks automatically, or if they just put your finger down. So
I think the other argument to this, I was going to say, I think the other argument to this too is this, continued collection of your personal unique data, right? And aggregating that someplace. I think this is really dangerous because, more and more that you have these different places that centralize this kind of information. When they get hacked, and I keep a list of breached sites and accounts, and you'd be surprised like how many millions of user data is constantly, stolen or absconded in some way or breached. And the more that somebody has something that says I can uniquely identify myself as you and has access to it, I'm bothered by it. I don't know how this biometric data is being processed or handled or stored. Well, I don't know whether or not it's being acquired and centralized someplace else. But to me, I think I'm very concerned when more and more of this data is being asked for. And I understand it's for convenience, but at the same time, it's I think it's a slippery slope. I don't like it.
Yeah, I agree. Plus, if law enforcement can do that, it's the same thing with criminals. If they get you, they can get your finger off, and now they can get your phone.
That's right. That's right.
That's the worst case. So, the Yakuza being famous for,
And the burden of proof is harder now, right? Because the thing is, if somebody steals that information, uses it to identify you, then it becomes much harder for you to recover, either financial losses, personal losses, whatever it might be. The courts may not believe you. There are lots of things, barriers, I think, for your own defense that come up. If there is a breach or if there is some kind of, loss of control of this information and somebody else uses it in a way that it wasn't intended.
Yeah. So, but that's for the future. The good thing is that let's see, it also includes other forms of login. It's not just the biometrics, but it also has the PIN and other things that are authentication that's built into the operating system. That's why you have the Face ID and your fingerprints, because that's built into Android and iOS. But other than having issue with the formal authentication, passkeys are supposedly very strong when it comes to. And if you want, I can quickly play here their promo video just to kind of give us a refresher.
Passwords have been around for a long time, but they're a pain for your users and a liability for you as a developer. Strong passwords are difficult to remember, so many people don't bother creating strong passwords, or they reuse the same password for everything. Password managers help here. Google Password Manager, for example, generates a strong password, autofills it to the right domains and apps, and synchronizes it across devices. But the reality is, not all users rely on password managers. On top of that, passwords are just not very secure. Two-factor authentication does improve security, but it adds extra steps for users and costs you money. But it doesn't have to be like that. You can start the journey away from passwords and make your users' digital lives easier and more secure with passkeys. Passkeys are a simple and secure cross-device authentication technology that enables creating online accounts and signing into them without entering a password. On sites and apps that implement passkeys, the browser or operating system shows users a prompt to create a passkey. Users only need to use the screen lock on their device, such as touching the fingerprint sensor, to continue. There is no need to type or remember anything. Then, to log into an account, users are simply shown a prompt to unlock their device. Sites that have implemented passkeys are seeing a number of benefits, such as higher login success rates, reduced drop-off rates, increased conversion rates, and reduced costs of separate two-factor authentication solutions. Signing in with passkeys provides strong protection against phishing and data breaches, two of the biggest security threats that passwords fail to prevent. Passkeys work with public key cryptography. A passkey is a private key stored securely on the device. It's created when using the screen lock functionality, fingerprint, facial recognition, PIN, or pattern. The matching public key is stored on the server. Because no secret is stored on the server, passkeys are not vulnerable to server breaches like passwords are. Each passkey can only be used for the same service it's created on, so users can be tricked into using their passkey to sign into a sketchy app or website. Since logging into a site or an app is done by using the screen lock, a passkey replaces a password and a second factor in a single step. Passkeys already work on most browsers and operating systems. When a user creates a passkey for a website on their phone, the phone's credential provider can back it up and synchronize to other devices.
Oh, hold on a second.
example,
Pause this for a
if the
second.
user
Pause
sets
this
up
for a
a-
second. So it gets backed up. The private key gets backed up to the
Google services, yes.
Google services or Apple, right? Apple Cloud Services, right? Because they are the provider. So we still have this centralization of information, right?
Yep.
This is again, my worry is, look, people lose phones all the time, right? People upgrade all the time. Now, sometimes, you don't want to, if you have your stuff on Apple and you decide, I don't want to use Apple anymore, I want to go over to Chrome, right? Or what is Android, right? I want to go
Yep.
get an Android phone because, I don't like the Apple lock-in anymore. Now this kind of screws you, doesn't it? Because all your stuff is with Apple.
Yeah, but sadly, it has a good points at the beginning, about the security
totally,
of
totally.
password and how people interact with it. And this mindset, how I should say, just put it on your phone and everything.
Yeah.
even like the big financial institution are totally into it. For example, my bank, they have, like, you could say, every time I log in with web and all that stuff, I need to confirm it on my mobile phone, on my app. The problem is the app is logged into that phone, and if I want to change it or like add another authorization, so my banking app works on another phone, I have to go into the bank, and they have to then in their system allow for that. So which I will have to do soon, because I will be getting a new phone. And then the issue is, they are not allowing you to use bank without it. But that kind of goes again. Sadly, most people again will be happy and with this approach. For us who are more, I could say, security bias, or we have bias against Google, Apple, and all these big things. For example, I remember last time I went to America, they were boarding and they were using facial recognition. I was very perturbed, like, where the heck did you get my face and everything? I don't remember.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about how we get your face. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, they told me it's from the Customs and Border Protection. It's like, what? And I remember when this was discussed years ago, that they were going to do this and everything. Well, we are not going to give it to anybody, or it's just for the government services. And now private companies have access to it. So this issue that it's not going to get out is it's a problem. So for me, I'm happy for the system, but in this case, when I'll be using it, I'll be using my passkeys with my hardware key.
That's sorry. I just want to jump in here on that, because basically, or the fundamental idea of this WebAuthn mechanism is not that bad. So the problem here is, and I also wrote that in the chat, is that we have this pull from these tech providers, right, to pull your data into their realm, because you could also implement WebAuthn, as you said, Jan, using a hardware key and all that stuff. And I mean, that's the idea also of a second factor, basically, right? So the second factor should be on a different device, or a second factor, and not necessarily on the same device, because there are so many issues with that when this is on the same device, right? I mean, of course, then you could say, biometrics, so it's only you who can deactivate that. But again, that's actually a bigger bigger privacy concern than everything else. I don't want to give them my iris scan. Anyone? I mean, okay, maybe you all have my iris scan now. If we come up with the next 4K video, you all
wait, Jan, you haven't signed up for WorldCoin?
Hang on. Let's get mine right now.
Yeah.
But back to the to the seriousness. The thing is, most people will use this and they will be very happy. It will actually, for majority of people, it will increase security because, as it said, most people have password or password test and similar. So in that aspect, it's definitely going to be, of course, for people like me, it's not going to do it. Except, of course, I will be very happy that I can just use my passkey to logging anywhere, hopefully soon with that. And
I mean, that you have to consider one thing here, though. This is still rather a B2C situation consideration, right? So, I mean, like the main target group is the common customers or the common users. And I think in a corporate environment, you will have definitely a much different way of enforcing a WebAuthn based thing, or they have some other methods where their users have a single sign-on. And I mean, Meteor has plenty options also for other authentication methods like SAML or LDAP, something that your company may already provide. And if there is something that someone else provides that's already some degree of secure, of course, there may be still passwords involved and all that stuff. But if you can outsource that to those guys who are actually good in providing secure mechanisms, then that's also a plus point. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing I think we have to remember, though, that really the security being provided here with passkeys is you're first of all, they're not even dealing with you, they're dealing with the device. Okay. And it's the device that proves who you are effectively. And so, the thing is, if somebody else has control of your device, then as far as any of these providers are concerned, they are you. And to me, this is the fatal flaw in this thinking. It's like, it's convenient, it's great, but really?
Yeah, but I would say this kind of goes to the other issue we have in general with authentication, even with passwords. If you forget a password, reset password, send me an email. But again, like, somebody can get your physical device, somebody can also hack into your email.
Sure.
Same problem. So
I'm not saying that the problem is sufficiently different. I'm just saying that this consolidates the issue into a single device that if somebody else has possession of it, effectively, once I have your metadata, I am you. And this is a problem we run into again and again and again. It just makes it that much easier if somebody's able to do it. Now, if you say, well, if you use the biometric sensors, then that locks out anybody's ability to get into that device. May or may not be true, but again, there are people that don't want to, add their biometric information into a device. They just it's a privacy issue for them. They don't want to do it.
Same here.
Yeah.
So speaking, but I kind of want to switch gear a little bit here, as kind of outsourcing, the authentication. That also goes to all out, where you have another server vouching for who you are, and then that's like, again, similar issues. I would say actually even one more, because then if you have only the all out login, then if somebody hacks in your account, or if they have issues with logging in, you cannot help the user if they don't have password or anything else included. So that's a problem. And I kind of want to go over the all out, because at the same time they're very popular and very common. Meteor itself has 2, 4, 6 official ones. We go through them: for X, aka Twitter, Google, Facebook, GitHub, Meetup, Meteor and Meteor Developers, which is for if you have, of course, as I hope everybody watching has, the Meteor accounts. So those are, I think, I have been very vocal that since Apple has established their own all-out, that it should be added to the official ones. They are some community-based, but I think just given how it's important and for marketing purpose and everything, it should be an official one. The odd one out of the bunch here is Meetup, which has been official for historical purposes. And there was one which is now deprecated for, I think, Weibo or something, but nobody really has been able to maintain that because it's behind a firewall. So that has not been available. But we have also a lot of other ones in the community. Even though as much as I dislike them, I have actually built at this point 3 of them that I maintain. And just on Monday on my stream, I built another one showing you how you can do that with a little bit help of kind of using as a template an existing all-out code, because the all-out flow is usually very, very similar in all places because there's a standard for it. So you can do that. And that's also another way how you can do the authentication. And you already mentioned that we also have the SAML and LDAP as well available on Pacosphere or Atmosphere.
Before we jump over onto the auth server that I think Küster is going to chat a little bit about, I just want to acknowledge all the people that have been involved in this robust discussion on the chat so far. And let's just kind of like run through really quickly. I had John Morrow's comment, because it was one of the most recent ones, up a second ago. I'll put it back up again here. And he said, we'd love to see passkey support. So, you know, I'm speaking against I'm speaking about my current, I don't know if you want to call it distaste or concern about passkeys, but John Morrow seems to be all in on you know, having this capability.
Oh, I absolutely agree that we should have it in. Just of course,
So
I
it's
have
up to the
my
developer to use it or not use it, right?
yeah.
Okay.
And we do have a discussion on this. I'm trying. Yes, I think I found it. So let me kind of share this as well. It is under on GitHub on the discussion accounts improvement suggestions, and it kind of goes here from RG David. He started, you know, it's got about N, which is for the hardware keys.
Okay.
As well. So that would be part of the, let's say, extension of two-factor, which absolutely has to happen. And just to kind of share it here, the WebAuthn is here for is the two-factor with the hardware keys. So kind of predecessor to the passkeys in a way, and looks like passkey. Thing is with passkey, another thing is it's kind of authentication, authorization. It puts them together. If there's like something that you need, like have a two-factor as well. So this is something that we have in discussion. I think this is something that will be, and I do believe Gabriel also already indicated his interest as well. So I do believe that this will be something that we'll be looking at after Meteor 3 to add. So that's what we'll be looking into probably with everybody to include. So WebAuthn is, I think it might be the actual technical term below. It's a standard. So passkeys might be just, I think, if I remember correctly, the more sexier one, but don't quote me on it. I haven't looked into this for a little bit.
Okay, and then we had Lori asking, is it possible right now to log in with biometrics in Meteor?
No, that needs to be what the passkeys are going to do. At least I don't know of any package that does it, but once we have the passkeys, accounts passkeys, or however it's going to be named, then it will be possible because it will plug into the official API, which is part of the browser. At least so by the time we are building it, it should be, I think, supported everywhere. And I'm trying to find here, where do we have that? Let me just a moment. I'll figure out where I can find if we can find.
Well, I think we're getting a little too
support
deep in
list.
the weeds. We're getting a little too deep in the weeds here. So let's just, you know, look at that as a separate thing that we could, you know, post into the comments later on. I do want to kind of just mention that there are some interesting comments that were made along the way. Gabriel mentioning that, you know, I think, first of all, he declared his love for Magic Links. So when we were talking about it, and then I think the consensus was, or at least some of the opinion was, that Magic Links aren't always so great. You know, he had a reaction that was like a sad reaction. I think this was his reaction when that was discussed. But you know, I don't think that that anything that we're talking about here like solves any problems, right? It's just a number of different options that you can use. And why don't we just move on a little bit from here to discuss the OAuth server segment of this, Küster, so that we
Yes.
keep going.
So basically what we talked about for now regarding Meteor accounts was always with the premise that Meteor handles the OAuth workflow for you. And this is working perfect as it is. And sometimes you may have the urge, you have the use case that you have maybe multiple applications with written in Meteor or not, and then you want to, but this use case now is written in Meteor, and you want to have one login, like a single sign-on for this, then you might take a look at the Meteor OAuth 2 server, which is using a full-fledged Node.js OAuth 2 server package under the hood, but wraps it up for Meteor and also provides the correct workflow out of the box so that you can add your own accounts package like accounts GitHub, but then for your own realm and your own implementation with your own server. And this package might be something for you. And if you have any questions regarding that, you can definitely always reach out to me. There's also a link, this link to the Node OAuth server. You can also check that out if you want to implement it on plain Node. There's also an Express wrapper for it if you want to do that, so that you just need to use the Express routes from implement the endpoints on your own, and the rest is handled by the Express wrapper. There are plenty of options there you can use. Also the collection names you can check on, routes. You can basically configure everything you need. Usually you pass this through Meteor settings or something into the OAuth server, and it does the rest automatically. One thing though you have to consider is you will have to write some kind of DDP handling code, which I also have in the same org, because we implemented that for our own services. We basically want to have one login across all our apps in that realm, and it's focused on Blaze. But if you have the tutorial, is focused on Blaze, but the OAuth server itself is client agnostic, so everyone can use it. And there was one more thing I wanted to say about it. Oh yeah, there is a video. I did a tutorial video on this at the Meteor Impact Conference in 2020, I think 2020 or 2021. But it's a little bit older, but it's not that outdated because it's still the same. The whole concept is still the same, and the package has been maintained and updated by myself. So you can, without any worries, just watch the video. I don't know, Jan, did I post the link to that video here somewhere? Yeah, there. It is a little bit lower in our resources. There's a YouTube link.
Okay, let me copy that over and show it.
We will put anyway all the resources in the description after the live stream, right?
Yeah, okay.
And
so
I did that just for regarding the motivation. I did that not only because we wanted to have a custom login over many applications, but I also found many times in the forums a discussion about that. So, which is why it made totally sense to make this a package so everyone can benefit from it.
Yeah, and I've posted all the links in the chat right now as well for people to go to, and here is the video. I will keep it quiet in the background. So, all right, so this is a package that you can get into your application, and then once you configure everything up, do the client side, you can then go and have your own login with, say, Liter Universe or something like that, correct?
Yes. So it of course you need some tweaking because you need to register the service, but this is already all documented, and it's also documented in the Meteor docs somehow, that you because it's the same as if you register an external other service like Facebook or something.
Yes.
And then you can log in meteor.login with my custom whatever.
Yeah, so for that, if you want how to create like your own login with Failure Universe, then you can check out my Monday stream where I did that on a sample project, and the for a check, you can say the check version of Google, and the code is also available on my or on my GitHub. So that's all out there, so you can easily just copy it and move on. Awesome. Let's see. So we have all the comments here. Yeah, I'm looking personally forward to start implementing this soon. So it's gonna be cool.
All right. I keep trying to chat and and I had to I realized my microphone was off. I think Küster has a hard stop in a little bit, so maybe we should try to move on to the useful resources and cover those.
Yes. So for useful resources, let me check here. So you have, of course, the docs and guide. In the guide itself, under the data section, there's the users and accounts section, which covers all the necessary stuff that you need to do, from password logging to OAuth login, and all the necessary stuff that you can do with the data. Tells you how you can request for example, to get the user ID in your methods and collections. And it also has here for authorization section, roles and permission, where it mentions aligning roles. And you can also have some additional helpers for per document permissions as well. So that's for the Meteor guide. If you switch to the API docs, then you can go a little bit more in depth here under the account section, which primarily covers the login password and the basic, getting the user model and stuff like that. And then it has all the other additional APIs once you go into more deeper implementation. Because, for example, if you want to do some action once the user is created, there is a function that you can call on create user. Or if you want to check something before OAuth logging happens, again, there's a function for that, and many, many more. So that's the official documentation. As I mentioned, on Monday, I did a stream where I went and actually built a OAuth package. So let me link that to you guys as well. So there I go. It's like hour and a half. You can probably build an OAuth package with everything in half an hour if you go with already an existing code, and it's not like some specific service that maybe varies from the standards. So you can check it out. And I'm currently maintaining Discord and line packages in addition to the one I built on Monday, which is ISET for check service. So, and we've already mentioned the OAuth server from Jan. So you can and the links are already in the description. So, not the description, in the chat. So you can check that one out. And here is my video, so you can see as I kind of go through it and describe what I'm doing, including a Blaze setup in Meteor 3. We also fixed or made a PR there for Meteor 3 in regards to OAuth packages. So that's for the useful resources related to OAuth. Am I missing anything?
Right. I don't know.
All good.
So before we continue, please give us a like if you haven't already. Double check that you are subscribed. And with that, Alim, what do we have coming in? Why are you traveling?
Well, what we have, and we've been promising to keep you abreast of conferences and calls for papers that are out there. I know that I have promised to get my conference paper proposal in for Utah.js conference, which Küster will tell us about in a couple of minutes. But let me tell you what's coming up this month right now. In Barcelona, Spain, there's the WASM.io 2024 conference that starts March 14th, goes through the 15th. Then there's the NG Conference 2024 in Salt Lake City, Utah, and that's March 18th to the 21st, followed by JavaScript Days 2024 in Munich, Germany. That's happening at about the same time. So if you're going to one, you probably can't go to the other. That's the 18th to the 21st also. JavaScript Days includes the JavaScript, Angular, React, HTML, CSS Days conference. They're labeled both ways. You might have seen one or the other, but those are what those are. There is also an online component to that. So as well as being in Munich, Germany on site, you can also engage with that conference online. And then there is Web Dev Days 2024, which is happening online March 20th. I don't know of any in-person component to that. It seems like it's an entirely online experience. And then we have Fest.dev in Krakow, JavaScript Conference 2024. That's happening in Krakow, Poland on March 22nd. It's also known as the Fest.js Krakow 2024 and Fest.dev Krakow 2024. So if you've seen any of those, it's basically the same thing. All right. And with that, I'm going to turn this over. I don't want to waste your time. So I'll turn this now over to Küster, who will tell you about the CFPs that we have coming up soon.
Yeah. So if you're having something to share about any topics related to DevOps, there is the DevOps Con in Berlin in June or July. Let me check again. But the CFP is the CFP date. Yeah, it's in June, and the CFP date is the 1st of April. So this is not a joke, but actually the deadline if you have something to submit. And the second one is again a rather local one in the US. It's the Utah.js conference in Sandy. Again, I love that city is named like a person. I really love that. And the CFP date is the 3rd of April, and the conference itself is in September. So if you have something to share with the community there and you want to get in touch with people there, then this might be for you.
Okay, and with that, as Storyteller had hinted, you may want to, we'd like you to subscribe to the channel. If you do that, you'll get notified when we have a new episode come up. We are doing shorts recently. There are a couple of things on the hopper right now that are going to be going live very shortly. And on top of that, it will also remind you that the live event that we do this week is coming up. So hit the button. Let us know. It helps us get on the good side of YouTube. All right. And as far as any reminders, what do we have, guys?
Well, I'll be traveling to America, so I'll have my stream on Monday, but the Monday after that, I will not have a stream. So that will be one for the next 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And then we shall see how things progress. I'll be busy with my businesses as well. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to make it for the next 2 weeks to these patches.
Sure. And as I've mentioned in the past, and I'll mention again, open source software just doesn't happen. It happens because people put time and effort into building it. And we have these fantastic Jan brothers who work on the Meteor community packages. Jan Dvorak, also storyteller, as I often call him, also works on the Meteor core with the Meteor core team. And you work on the documentation too, Jan?
I sometimes add something if it's missing, but I haven't had any addition lately.
So
waiting for the new ones.
Yeah, so the point is, I would encourage everybody who uses open source software that if there's a developer that has a sponsorship page, then consider sponsoring that developer. Now, both of the ONs have developer pages for sponsorships. So if you'd like to make sure that they stay caffeinated and keep on working on their code, and as Storyteller will remind me, well, he gets his caffeine from tea. So coffee, tea, whatever it is, just, think about sponsoring one or both of them, or anybody else within the orbit of open source software that you use, who just in a way to let them know that they are appreciated, the work that they do is not in vain. And the one other thing I'd like to do before we close out this afternoon or evening, if it may be that for you, it's morning here in the East Coast. So I'll let you guys know I am in the state of Maine right now on vacation with my family. But how do you know I am who I am and I'm like giving you the right information? How do you know that this is Alim? You just have to trust me.
Especially in the age of AI.
Especially in the age of AI, yeah. This is not my familiar surroundings, so I could be faking it, right? So anyway, I'm not trying to create conspiracies here or anything like that. But I do want to share with you, by the way, that we've been starting to do some advanced planning. So next week, we're going to be covering MeteorJS in the wild. We're basically going to be looking at Meteor applications that are out, that people have built, that are available out there. We're going to go over them. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about what they do and how they're being used and how do we know that they're actually Meteor applications. So we'll be doing that next week. The week after that, I think what we're going to do is Harry Adele had written an article and we wanted to chat with him about it. We're also contemplating whether or not we should take a break because it'll be over 30 episodes. We've been doing this every week. And, as Storyteller said, he is going off on a trip, so he won't be with us. And we still need to kind of figure out whether or not we need to kind of recharge our batteries here. So it'll either be that the week after next week, we will have an episode or we'll just take a break. Not sure yet. We're working on that to figure that out. And then at the end of the month, we're covering build tools. So on the 29th. So that's the next 3 weeks. You get a sense of what we're working on. If any of those things are really meaningful to you, let us know. If you would like us to do something else that we're not talking about, let us know because we're still in the planning stages for future episodes on things like that. And perhaps what we'll do is we'll have Harry come on the 29th. Harry come in on the 22nd. That's the date that we're contemplating, perhaps not having an episode. But maybe we'll have Harry come in. Maybe we'll have Dimitri come in also, talk about the Meteor files and go a little deeper into it. So that could be something that we might consider doing. Again, let us know what you want to do, what you would like us to do, and what you'd like to see from us. Guys, is there anything else that you want to say before we wrap up today? All right. Have a good weekend, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Goodbye.